Right. Go ahead and start things off.
All right, I think we're good. So, what we're going to do here today is we're going to answer the question of spend too much time at the office talking about movies do when you're working remotely and you don't get to spend that time talking movies. So, my beautiful and talented co-host Matt Tubanik is here, and what we wanted to do is welcome you to something that Matt came up with a genius name of, the Fancastic Voyage, which I Google searched and nothing else came up. So
I was actually worried about that.
unless anybody beats us to the punch, I think we're good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take movies that we've seen that we love, and we're basically going to say if the same movie was to start production today in 2020, who would be recast in the most important roles? So
now, is this some background? Is this a complete remake or the I think it was 75 Jaws never happened?
This is basically if there was a way to keep everything the same, if Quint was still in World War II and part of the Indianapolis sinking and all that, if we can
Gotcha.
that time frame, but take actors and actresses from today in order to do so. So this is a new idea. This is something brand new we're trying. It doesn't fall too flat. And worst case scenario, something the two of us do for fun. No one else.
I mean, quarantine, wasting time. I mean, being as sane as we possibly can.
So I'd say this is about as productive as we can be. So
yeah,
the movie that we decided to pick first in what will hopefully be a series of many is Jaws. So I actually watched this movie on HBO because I'm bored and I think I've watched all of Netflix by now. And full disclosure, watching this again reminded me of how terrified I was when I first saw it. Terrified of going in the water. I remember there was a time where pools terrified me.
No, not even that. When I was little, when I saw this movie, I was terrified to take a bath. Like, I somehow thought that a shark was going to be in the bathtub.
So, well, I feel a little bit better now that you're in the same camp. So,
yeah.
Our mission, again, just to reiterate, is to take Jaws for the masterpiece that it is and imagine it's being remade in 2020. We keep the plot line the same, the timeline as it was the same. Not that we're saying we want that to happen, but if it was. So we're going to recast the most impactful roles in the movie. And we have, I think when all is said and done, we have 8 roles within the film.
Sounds right.
So we broke those out into 3 categories in terms of the actors or the roles that we're looking to recast. We have townspeople, we have the Brodies, and then we have the real MVPs. I think obviously the real MVPs, Hooper and Quint, are the most important roles in this movie and are what make it as good as it is, among other things. And then lastly will be who directs. So well, I mean, I guess with that we'll go ahead and get started. So for the townspeople, the first of 2, unfortunately the shortest role I think anybody has in the movie, and Chrissy, her name, she is the girl who goes swimming and ends up getting eaten by the shark that you never actually see in that
first girl. Yeah.
They do say her name a couple times, so I didn't have to go to IMDb for that, but her name is Chrissy. So I'll kick it off to you first, Matt.
Okay. So for my pick, somebody actually came to mind like right away. It's somebody that's slowly been climbing the ranks of a modern day scream queen, if there ever was one. And her name is Samara Weaving. Now, I don't know if you know who that is, but she has been in mostly horror movies to kind of go off of that whole scream queen thing. She was in the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show for, I think, only 2 episodes. She was in a Netflix movie called The Sitter. She was in her most notable one, which is also her best, is Ready or Not. which came out last year, which if you haven't seen it, it was very good, but she's kind of taken on this role of being a modern day scream queen. And I think she'd be perfect for that very first moment in the movie.
When I first saw her, I just looked her up. She reminds me a lot of the actress from Sex Education that I thought was Margot Robbie, but it's not.
Yeah, we talked about that a while ago, I think.
Yeah. But you look at Samara Weaving was in, outside of that, she was in 3 Billboards. She was in Ash versus.
That's right. She played the mistress.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, she's certainly been in a lot of stuff, I think, leading towards kind of what you mentioned, Ready or Not specifically. So,
yeah.
Yeah, she's in the new Bill and Ted movie also.
Is she really? I didn't know.
That's what it says. So to counter that, I had, sadly enough, embarrassingly enough, and this is probably the only reason I'll hope that we're the only two that watched this. If you ever saw the show Pretty Little Liars, which unfortunately I haven't seen episodes of, one of the main characters, the girl who in the first several seasons is the one supposedly dead. Allison, her name is Sasha Petierce, Pierce. She's been in several other things since then, but she's got a fairly similar look to Samara Weaving, and thought at first glance, in comparison to the actress that played Chrissy this time around, she would fit quite well. So
yeah, like the blonde skinny dipper going out in the middle of the night. Yeah, she fits that. It's like,
and I think that's kind of some of the importance of that role. If you think about it, that's the first time you're not seeing the shark, but you're actually seeing her from the shark vantage point, which was very unique, I think, at that point. And it kind of sets the tone of nobody's really safe. Like, this is the pretty girl at the bonfire. And
that's also interesting. I'm curious. I'm actually really curious to see if Jaws would have the same impact that it did if the animatronic for the shark actually worked the way that they want. Because that was like the big notorious thing was that they built this huge bulky animatronic and it broke down like every couple minutes, and so that's why you barely see the shark in the movie. So it makes me wonder if like Steven Spielberg would be as big as he is today if Jaws had gone on to spawn like 3 forgettable sequels and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I had that later. You don't see the shark until more than halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
It's certainly
attacks happen.
Yeah, it's completely by chance because the animatronic was so bad. So that's a great one there. Next up, for the other townspeople actor is Mayor Vaughn. This is an interesting one. So I'll take this one first.
Yeah, go for it.
I struggle with this a little bit, but then as soon as I kind of parse through who I had in my mind, a couple things that stand out is you have to inherently not trust him.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of be able to look at him and be like, is this a guy who's going to sell me a used car?
He's kind of sleazy. Yeah, he's like a sleazy car salesman, yeah.
So the person I chose is Brad Leland, who is Buddy Garrity from Friday Night Lights, among many other things. Obviously, Buddy has his redemption story towards the end of the series Friday Night Lights, but he has many a role where he is that sleazy, trustworthy, just the guy that kind of makes you feel like you want to take a shower by the time you're done having a conversation.
Is it Buddy Garrity or Buddy Garrity Jr.? Because I don't know Friday Night Lights, and I just looked it up.
So it's Buddy Garrity, the dad. So Brad.
Okay. Yeah. He actually even looks the part too.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. What do you have for that one?
So mine, as much as I like kind of that almost no-name casting that people don't really know too much, I went a little bigger for the mayor. 2 of them I have here. The first one is definitely one of those people that it seems like you could have a beer with him, but he may also be the biggest douche in the world. And then Jason Sudeikis. So
ooh, that would be good.
That would be like for a younger mayor. And if they had the budget for it and he wasn't asking too much, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
It's been forever since he's played those kind of roles. He's always played like the narcissistic protagonist in the past
yeah.
15 years. I think it would be great to see him in a villain, especially someone as douchey as the mayor is. So
Yeah, no, those are much bigger, but no, those would be.
yeah, they're bigger. They're definitely bigger. If this was like a remake and they're just funneling money into it, then yeah, that's something that I could see. But I do like your picks because it's way lesser known, and I always enjoy that. It definitely helps with like immersion for most movies. So
Well, the good thing about our hypothetical scenario here is there's no budget on our movie that
very true.
we're making here, so we're good either way.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the Brody family. So I know you said that you didn't grab anyone for the two boys, Michael and Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know too many child actors, and I could come up with a couple, but I mean, they're all culturally relevant
Yeah.
and zeitgeist, so to speak. So, I mean, my picks are probably going to be either people from Stranger Things or something similar. So, I don't know if you have anything like that.
Well, yeah, pretty much. The one that I picked for the older boy, just because I don't care what I'd see him in, but I'd be really interested, is Roman Griffin Davis, who's JoJo from Jojo Rabbit.
Oh yeah, he was great. Yeah.
What I'd be happy with that. And the other one that I saw who stood out was, do you remember the kid who played Georgie from It?
That was actually one of my choices. So
okay,
we're right there on that. He was one of them.
Jackson Robert Scott. So apparently to be a successful child actor now, you need to use all three names to get that done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I there's a couple scenes with the kids that I think are really good. One that I'll get to, I mean, I'll do it now. But
yeah, you have me at a disadvantage because I haven't seen this movie in at least like 5 or 6 years. So
yeah,
the movie, but.
Well, the couple that stand out is, I mean, I guess the one that if we boil it down is where he's at the dinner table with, I think, the younger son, and they're staring at each other and they're playing with their hands, and the son's mimicking him as he's moving his hands back and forth, and they share a little bit of a moment. That's a really good one, and I think my choice for Chief kind of rolls that back, but we'll save him.
Yeah, who do you have for the mother?
Ellen. I went with Monica Potter.
Monica Potter, I know that name.
She's the blonde from Patch Adams, his girlfriend who gets killed, and then she's also one of the main.
Yeah.
So I went I wasn't sure. I didn't want Lorraine Gray in the original is she's pretty, but she's not distracting, beautiful. And I think seeing Monica Potter in the roles that she's played, she's been that maternal figure before, and translates really well to the role that Ellen Brody plays in the movie. So,
yeah.
What about you?
So for me, I mean, it sounded like we pretty much had very similar child actors. I mean, I didn't really put anything into that. I just the one that came to mind was Georgie. But as far as Ellen, I had the first one I had was Rachel Weisz.
Okay.
Which is different from what Ellen is typically, but I kind of paired it to who I chose as Brody.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll come back, but Rachel Weisz was kind of my first choice, and then second one, which is completely different from Rachel Weisz, is I always miss her last name, Elizabeth Banks. That was the other one.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's about as close as a spot-on casting.
Yeah, I mean,
Lorraine Gray.
We've talked multiple times, and I'm pretty sure you've picked up on my penchant for comedic actors taking on more dramatic roles. I think they're the best dramatic actors out there, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Bill Hader. He's honestly, to me, he's one of the best actors out there. If you've ever so.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And I had I kind of paired my who I think would be good for Chief Brody. But since you just gave your choices, let's hear your Chief Brody.
Okay, so my Chief Brody, my number one pick. I had a second one and I lost the paper, so I don't remember exactly what it is. But my go-to, my number one, is Ben Mendelsohn, and
I was very jealous of that when you told me that before.
he is such a good actor. He's so underrated. He's been in everything.
Yeah.
Past 10 years, ever since he's pretty much been in The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
He's up here and there, and he's a fantastic actor. And he played a very similar role in HBO's adaptation.
The Outsider?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which reminded me a lot of Brody, so that's why I kind of pegged him as Chief Brody. And I didn't want for any of these three top dogs, I didn't want them to be like the clean cut or rugged like superhero that you'd see in like a Marvel film.
Yeah.
That's not what these people are. These are just some random people on an island somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That was the only one that you had divulged before.
Yeah.
I was very jealous of that. So now that being said, I only had one person that came to mind here, and it's Kyle Chandler.
Oh yeah, I actually thought about that, but yeah, he fits the role really well.
He does, because I think he's the sheriff in Bloodline with Ben Mendelsohn, actually, with their
very true. Yeah.
He's great as the FBI agent in Wolf of Wall Street. And then obviously Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights is one of my favorite TV characters of all time. So from like a father to kind of that leader of people, I thought that was really good. And I think he'd be awesome in that dinner table scene with him and the younger son when they're kind of.
I mean, he just exudes like that paternal like male figure. I mean, he's that in pretty much every single role that I've seen him in. So I mean, he fits Brody like to a T.
He is kind of that. There are some people out there that before they even speak, you want to follow them, and I think just kind of what he exudes. So that, and obviously what comes to mind is I'd love to hear him say
smile, you son of a bitch,
before he blows the shark up. So that was good. But no, I think we're both building some pretty strong choices here. So the last of the actors that we have left are Hooper and Quint. So
these are the two best ones.
Yeah.
I actually have a list. Like
I have top three for both. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll start with Hooper, and I'll go first. So my top you might feel like I'm pandering to you here a little bit, but what came to mind for me after laboring through IMDb, among other places, was Bill is the first one that came to mind.
That didn't come through. What was that?
Bill Hader was my
Bill Hader. Yeah, Bill Hader's great.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Okay, yeah.
My next one. And then third is Martin Freeman. So
nice. Yeah, I considered him actually.
Really? Yeah. So that being said, you stole my thunder there a minute ago when you talked about it. But Bill Hader in Barry is incredible.
He's fantastic.
Hooper has moments where he's very serious and gets to play that up, but he also has 4 or 5 scenes where he gets to be a bit of a smartass and snarky and right back to him. And
very much so.
When they're exchanging stories about how they have scars, and he points to his heart, he says, "Mary Ellen Moffat, she broke my heart." That killed me. I think he would be great in that role.
That's one of the, honestly, when you talk about like those scenes that just build characters, they build that camaraderie between like protagonists. That's got to be up there with one of the all-time best. It's just
you have that, and then you have, I think you have the Indianapolis story.
The Indianapolis is really good.
I actually watched that. Show Me the Way to Go Home.
Mm-hmm. And
then the shark comes, and they all have together. So all of that in a matter of like 10 minutes. It really is one of those scenes that that's about male bonding at its absolute peak, I think. Right.
For sure.
So.
For sure.
All right, who you got?
Okay, so for my Hooper, I've got 3. 2 are serious castings. The third is kind of a wild card.
Okay.
So start with the 2 serious ones. I'm sticking with my comedic actors as dramatic actors and say Paul Rudd for Hooper.
Ooh.
So Paul Rudd, I mean, I've seen him in a couple dramatic roles, and he's perfect for like that serious role, but also goofy, which Hooper is.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second one, this is kind of out of left field, but I think he fits the role perfectly, just with everything that he's done, is Donald Glover.
Oh, wow.
It's a little out there, but he fits like that nerdy kind of role that
Yeah.
Cooper has really well. And then my last one, if we're basing it off of looks, and we're also sticking with the comedic actor theme, Zach Galifianakis.
I did have that thought too, and I was like, I don't know if he can get there, but yeah, he basically
He hasn't had the chance, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's one thing. I'm really curious because, like, we talked about Bill Hader. He's had his breakout, and like Barry,
Yeah.
Skeleton Twins was another one that people seem to gravitate towards. Will Ferrell's had a couple roles. Specifically, what was it? It's actually just came out, right, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Look it up right now.
where they're like at a ski lodge and he protects himself, and it like totally ruins their marriage.
Downhill.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, I think he could literally, you could basically sub him in, and I think he's the stunt double for Richard Dreyfuss.
I'm really curious to see how his dramatic chops are. I
Yeah.
mean, he's pretty much stuck to nothing but comedic roles. And he was in that FX show Baskins, Baskins, or Baskets. I always forget. But
No Tiger King,
but I mean that's like a dramedy show, but he's a goofy in it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to see him like kind of push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah. No, those are good. I really like those.
Paul Rudd, Donald Glover, and Zach Galifianakis. So.
All right, so keep the momentum going. Close it out with Quint. Who do you got?
For Quint, okay, so two I'm very strong on. The third one, I don't know so much about, but first and foremost is Ian McShane. He fits that gruff sailor almost to a T. Like
oh yeah, good call.
Yeah.
From Deadwood, among
Yep.
many other things.
Al Swearingen. I think
that's right, yeah.
fit that perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
My second is Bryan Cranston. I like
he could do it.
Like the one thing that I'm picturing, I've actually looked up to see if anybody else had done these fan castings for Jaws before, and they're up there, and somebody had said Bryan Cranston for Brody, and I could see that if it was like back when Breaking Bad first came out.
Yeah,
he's much older now. I think he could pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, which is the one I'm not too sure about, and it actually kind of comes off more comedic than anything, would be Liam Neeson.
I think it would certainly be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but the one that I would stick with would be Ian McShane, for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good one. What stood out to me was Minneapolis story. Like, I need someone who can continue to just reel me in and kind of keep me engaged as he tells that story. When he puts his nails on the chalkboard and he ends that quote with, for that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. And then probably one of the most over-the-top death scenes anyone's ever had on film, when he's really going for it, when he slides into the shark's mouth. You need someone who's going to be able to really dial it up for that.
That's kind of who I thought, like it was easy to picture Ian McShane throughout everything for that, and Liam Neeson a little bit, but for me, the one thing that kind of nailed it home was I can see the scene out with Bryan Cranston like slowly going into the shark's mouth, and I think he could do it very well.
Yeah, no, I think it would be good.
Yeah.
All right, so you might think I'm pandering you here, pandering to you, I should say, with my actual choice. I have three more here too.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research because I was trying to figure out how old was Quint supposed to be, because Robert Shaw looks like he might have been 65 in the movie.
Yeah, that was kind of where I was banking off of.
So Quint is supposed to be 49. Or that's
Really?
the research that I found. So I went kind of somewhere in like early 40s to mid 60s with a couple of my different options here. So
Okay.
I'm going to give you my first two, and then I'm going to end with the one that I picked. So my first choice was Jeff Bridges.
I thought about that. He's a really good choice.
Yeah. So he was actually at the time, I just did a little bit of research before. He was up for Hooper. He was one of the first choices for Hooper when the movie first came out.
I mean, he fits that role perfectly too.
My next one was Hugh Jackman. I think it would be really obviously like it can't be Wolverine and like ripping through his button-down shirt on the boat. I feel like right. He's got the beard. He can play that serious side. And then this is the one that I kept coming back to, and it's Carl Urban. I think Carl Urban would be incredible.
I love Carl Urban. Like I'll watch anything with him in it. I think he's such an underrated actor. I think if Carl Urban was 10 years older, I think it'd be perfect for him. Give him a bunch of like tattoos and
weather the beard up a little bit.
Yeah. And give him like that
awful hat that looks like a triangle in the front.
I could see it.
Yeah, so that was
a little too young right now, but yeah. If it to be made in the future, perfect for it. So those are our characters. So I feel like right now we both have some pretty fantastic movies lined up. But lastly, so to kind of set the stage here, pun probably intended there. The first thing that comes to mind for me is the score. I think this is one of, if not the most iconic scores, or at least themes that definitely
exist. It's up there with Star Wars. It's up there with, you name it. But those first two notes, that's not that we didn't even have that plug set up before we started. But the score of this movie is so integral to its emotional.
I would say that it's probably the most important part of the movie, because I think that's what people remember most. If you do that build up, everybody knows that, even if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. So there's, on top of that, some things that stand out. Spielberg does a really good job building on Brody's fear of the water, or kind of be afraid of the water. Brody rarely goes into the water until the end of the movie, even when he's at the beach. All that you get to see through the shark's eyes, not seeing the shark for the first half of the movie, which we already touched on. Obviously, that was it wasn't planned on by Spielberg at the time, but I think all of those elements stylistically, I have my one choice, and I can take this one first.
Go for it.
He's on the music video director Mount Rushmore. He's directed music videos, among others, for Madonna, Paula Abdul, Billy Idol, The Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Justin Timberlake, Jay-Z. It's David Fincher.
I was gonna say, don't say McG. Like I don't need a Charlie's Angels type Jaws.
As much as I love the OC, I'm not gonna pick McG. So some movies of Fincher's, for any of the three people who watch this who aren't that. You think about Seven, Panic Room, The Social Network, Gone Girl, just to name a few. And I think what I really take out of those specifically is he uses color as a mood very, very well.
Yeah, he really does.
He has an incredible skill or knack for capturing an atmosphere, like what he can do in a scene. And I think a lot of that comes with the wide shots, kind of the long, full shots he uses, and how rarely he features close-ups, and how close-ups are very important to him, and they're meant to convey an emotion or a response or something like that. And all that he does with movement, a lot of what he does and a lot of the emotion you get from his movies comes through movement, which when you consider the rising action and climax of this movie is on a boat in the ocean being circled by a 25-foot great white shark. I feel like that's a pretty good that's a pretty good setup for the film. So
Yeah.
my choice, and I really it didn't take me too long to come to that conclusion. So I'm interested.
That's actually a very interesting choice, and that's not one that I considered, but I can see it. I can see his tone in that throughout, that the dark foreboding in sun-bathed settings and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that goes well.
What do you got?
So I have 3 choices.
Okay.
I'm a director fanatic, so I've kind of narrowed it down to 3. Each has their own kind of tried and true style that would be very different from each other. First, now this is in no particular order. I don't want one director to direct it more than the other. Actually, maybe one, but
so that's McG, you said, right?
now I'm going to save that one for last. Okay, so let me preface it with saying that Mick G is actually a fine director. He's like,
in case he watches this, you want to say things?
No, I mean he's got some really good things. Like, okay, I know there's a lot of hate for it, but I actually kind of like Terminator Salvation, and I'll tell you later before this 40 minutes is up is why I think that Terminator Salvation is a good movie.
Okay.
But my first is a French director who's been in the game for, I don't know, 15 to 20 years. Alexandre Aja, I believe is how you say his name. And he does a lot of remakes. He did The Hills Have Eyes and Piranha 3D.
Okay.
Did a Joe Hill adaptation called Horns, which was really good with Daniel Radcliffe in it. And probably my favorite one of his was last year's that we talked about a month ago, called Crawl.
Oh, that's right. With is that that's the crocodile?
Barry Pepper.
Oh, that's right, with the crocodiles.
Yeah.
Or no,
Yep,
alligators or the crocodiles?
Alligators in Florida in the middle of a hurricane. It was very good. He's insanely good at directing movies that focus on tension.
Okay.
Piranha 3D notwithstanding. I mean, but that was a movie that knew what it was. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It was TNA. Like, going in that was expecting anything else. Next pick is one of my favorite directors that is up and coming, particularly in the horror scene, is Mike Flanagan. And anybody I talk to about movies or TV, I try to push them onto Mike Flanagan. Horror. He did Gerald's Game. He did a lot of Stephen King adaptations.
Ooh, Dr. Sleep, yeah.
Yes, Dr. Sleep, which is severely underrated. Gerald's Game was good. Hush was fantastic. Oculus, which comes off as like, the 2000-ish ghost movie that you just kind of ignore, turned out really good. Ouija, I never saw. And then he also did
Haunting of Hill House on Netflix too.
Yes, which is
everyone really
absolutely great.
Yeah.
So he's an up-and-coming horror director, and I think he'd be perfect for it.
Okay.
Then my last one is who I would want to. I mean, he's, I think, one of the best out there right now. He kind of picks and chooses what he does, and that's Cary Joji Fukunaga. And he's the one that did at least the first season of True Detective.
Okay.
He did Maniac on Netflix. He did Beasts of No Nation on Netflix, and he's also directing the James Bond movie coming out this year, hopefully, No Time to Die.
Okay.
He's definitely very reminiscent of Fincher. So
got it. Okay.
That very dark and foreboding type film style. So I think it would be really good for that.
Yeah, I had to look up True Detective because I was going to try to spell that just by you saying his name, and that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. And he actually was supposed to be the director for it
Oh,
before.
really?
Yeah, and they used most of his script for chapter one. So
Hmm.
when you have, I mean, there are multiple reasons why it chapter two didn't really work as well as the first one, but I think one of them is definitely because of his script. His script is very damn good, and creative differences, of course,
Hmm.
as it always happens. But I think he'd be fantastic for Jaws.
That's super interesting. Yeah, he's got. Yeah, I see. He directed, but then has been an executive producer for all three seasons of True Detective too. So,
Yeah, I think he was definitely a producer of the second season. He wasn't the director, and then I think he was a huge presence in the third season.
hmm
Also, a
so it's really good.
huge. Yeah, the third season is fantastic. It's neck and neck with the first one for me, and a good portion of the third season is directed by one of my favorite directors now, Jeremy Saulnier, which is
Mhm.
Saulnier. He did Blue Ruin, my all-time favorite movies, Green Room, of course, what we had just talked about, True Detective, and then
Mhm.
he did a Netflix movie called Hold the Dark.
Okay. Yeah, I see that right there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we're just looking for several $100 million worth of funding, and I think we got.
Yeah, get a studio set up, become famous,
You
or
already sunk our chances with McG, so we're gonna.
McG. Yeah. Okay, so to go back to McG, I actually do want to talk about this. It is highly lauded as an awful movie, Terminator Salvation. It's not a great movie. I'll say that much. With what was released in theaters, not a great movie. But do you know about the original ending of that?
I don't.
So, have you seen Terminator Salvation?
Oh, God, it's been so long. Uh,
Yeah, I think it was
I'd have to go back.
2009 that it
Oh
came
my
out.
God. I mean, looking at this cast from Christian Bale,
Mid
Sam Worthington.
mid 2000s, that was an all-star A-list
Oh
cast.
yeah, Helena Bonham Carter, Anton Yelchin, Commons in it, Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah, this.
Yeah, Sam Worthington
Yeah, it's
before
pretty
he
stacked.
just kind of disappeared into the ether.
Hmm.
So the way that the ending goes for the theatrical release is that um, um, John Connor is dying, and Sam Worthington, who is a Terminator, who's like a Terminator human hybrid that has actual organs, like donates his heart to John Connor to keep the resistance alive. Very Hollywood. It's a stupid ending in my opinion. The original ending, which has balls, man, like stuff that you don't see in Hollywood too much, is that so Sam Worthington, the worst kept secret, he's a Terminator. Um, he doesn't know his like origin or anything like that, but he gains the trust of the resistance, and John Connor's dying, and they come up with this idea of like just take my skin and then take my place so that you become kind of like this icon, this image, and then lead the resistance.
Hmm.
And that's how John Connor lived. But at the moment that John Connor dies, you see his eye turn red, and that activates him. So he was like a double agent this entire time, kills
Oh
everybody in the room, and then ends the entire world. So it's just like that's the way
shit!
the world ends. That's it. Terminator's done. The bad guys win. It was
That was supposed to be the end, but that's
that
not.
was supposed to be the ending, but of course the
That's so much
studio
better.
listened to test audiences, and they're like, "Oh, that's a bummer ending." No, that's an awesome ending. The bad guys win. Like,
Yeah, that would have been a lot better. And you very rarely actually get that.
and then we wouldn't have had Terminator Genesis, nor the newer Terminator, which I already forgot the name of
If
because
anything, it just saves us from those. So that's enough to.
yeah, it's a very forgettable movie. Um,
Oh man.
And then McG made The Babysitter with Samara Weaving in it, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's a fun movie.
See, and this is how it all comes full circle.
Exactly.
Weaving was in The Babysitter with your favorite director, McG.
Yeah.
Now she's cast as the first person that you see on the screen in this movie.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I think, how many minutes are we into this?
I think we probably need to wrap up because Zoom, as lovely as it is, only gives you 40 minutes.
Yeah, because Zoom only gives us so many. You came up with Jaws as your recasting, and since basically the past 20 years has been Hollywood taking original ideas and bastardizing them into remakes. I'm going to give one for you.
Okay.
Hollywood is completely obsessed with taking foreign movies and remaking them almost shot for shot, but speaking actors because Americans are lazy and they don't want to read those for some reason. So I'm going to give you this one, which is insanely new, and we've talked about it multiple times. I want you to...
You're not going to do this to me.
I am. I want you to cast a American remake of Parasite.
Oh, no.
I want you to do that one. An all-American cast. I want the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember their names, but the Parasite family and then the Rich family.
And the maid and her husband?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's our next mission.
So recast Parasite if America was to remake it for American audience.
Well, I guess you mean when America's going to remake it for America, because I think...
Yeah, and you know what? I have such a pick because there are so many movies out there. Like, it's not a secret that I'm a huge horror fan, and I love Rec, which is a Spanish horror film. It's shaky cam, found footage.
Mm-hmm.
When it came out, fantastic movie. America came out with Quarantine, which was an American remake, and it was literally shot for shot until the end.
Yeah.
Shot for shot, almost line for line, too. And it was, what was the point? Millions and millions of dollars put into that movie just so Americans don't have to read subtitles.
Yeah. Which on record, it hurts my heart that we're going to do this, but it'll still be fun. But it took me...
Oh, yeah. To preface everything, I don't want any of these remakes to happen whatsoever. I don't want these...
Yeah, it was 3 minutes into Parasite, and I didn't even realize I was reading subtitles at that point. And it was... I think it almost allowed me to have to pay more attention and be more involved. But that movie is as magnificent a movie as I've seen in a very long time.
South Korean cinema in general is fantastic, and it's been booming for like the past 15 years. So if you haven't seen too many, I mean, that's where Old Boy comes from. And one of my favorite revenge films of all time, I Saw the Devil, which I'm pretty sure that they were thinking about remaking for American audiences. Just look at what Old Boy did when Spike Lee remade it with Josh Brolin and Charlton Copley, and it was a fucking awful movie no matter who you put in it. So that's another thing. If you're into bloody revenge movies, see I Saw the Devil, which I have it, so if you ever want to borrow it, I mean, it's about this I don't know how the government works in South Korea, but it follows special agent so-and-so who just so happens to be like martial arts expert and everything. And his pregnant fiance is murdered by a serial killer. And so this special agent tracks down the killer, and instead of killing him, he makes it his job to make his life a living hell. So he beats him within an inch of his life, and then he lets him go. And then he finds him again, beats him within an inch of his life, and lets him go. And then just lets this whole thing just constantly keep on going. And it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't know the actor's name because I'm awful with South Korean names. It's actually the actor who portrays the protagonist in Old Boy is the villain, um, and then the protagonist is, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name, but he's made the jump into Hollywood. He hasn't had the best casting. He was in like the G.I. Joe movies, and he was in, I think, Red 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall fantastic movie. Great action, great revenge, incredibly violent, so it's not for the faint of heart. But it was good.
All right, so I'd say job well done on the first round. We have
Yeah.
our marching orders for our next episode. If there's anybody who made it this long, for sticking around and watching, hopefully you'll come back. And Matt, cheers to you for a great first round.
Yeah, even if nobody watches this, I'd still like to do it because it's good to talk about this, because my family, doesn't care about the things that I have to say about movies, and most of my friends don't either, so it's a good change of pace.
If it's an audience of two, it's an audience of two, and I think I'm happy with that. So,
yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll call it a day, and we'll be back for round 2.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing what your cast is.
You too.
All right. Take it easy.
All right.